there's this common understanding that being a victim is okay. From my perspective, it's okay if you want to hurt yourself, but if you don't want to hurt yourself, never become a victim of anything.
How to stop being a victim of circumstances that seem unfair?
Well, first of all, you have to have a belief in unfairness. And I just don't have that belief. The idea that things should be fair is out of touch with reality. All we've got to do is look at the animal kingdom. And the big animals eat the little animals, the old animals and the sick animals. There's nothing fair about it. When we teach our children fairness, we're teaching them how to suffer for the rest of their lives, because they'll go out into a world that is not fair, and they'll develop injustice wounds because they think it should be fair. And so I try to be even with everybody I meet, but I don't expect anyone to ever be fair with me. That would be me being delusional.
How can I snap out of victimness when I catch myself in the moment?
To be a victim, you have to be blaming someone for how you feel. And I learnt when I was a teenager that nobody can make me feel but me. Now, if I want to turn myself into a victim of that feeling that I have created by blaming someone else, once again, I'm being immature. As a mature adult, I'm responsible for my feelings, not someone else. Nobody can make me feel but me. Other people might do things that I don't agree with. So what? That's life. I haven't supported victim-orientated thinking in myself really since I've been 19. Because that's how we create suffering in ourselves. Turn ourselves into a victim of somebody or some circumstance, start blaming, go into resistance to what is, create suffering for ourselves, usually not changing anything at all, just creating suffering for ourselves, and being immature by holding someone responsible for how I feel. I make myself feel, no one can make me feel but me. I learnt this when I was a teenager, because as a teenager I wanted to be a man, and men take responsibility for themselves. They don't blame other people for how they feel, or situations for how they feel. They take responsibility for themselves. I make myself feel. Nobody can make me feel but me.
Why do victims like being victims?
We're programmed to be victims. It's part of our education. It's part of our brainwashing. Probably started more with American TV than anything else, coming to Australia in the 50s. Because I noticed that my grandparents, who didn't grow up with TV, and their friends didn't tend to be victim-orientated. But American television brought in, the story. Someone does something wrong by someone and they get revenge. Rocky. I mean, I think we've all been brainwashed by television, American television. Like, just the same as we're all being brainwashed to believe that marriage has a happy ending. You know, because in all the early movies, a lot of them ended with the car going up the road with "just married" on the windscreen and some cans being dragged behind the car. I have no idea what that means, but that was supposed to be happy ending, you know. Nowadays there's a new meaning to happy ending.
What you have said and how I see you be every day, it seems that you always enjoyed life to the fullest and are continuing to do so. What's the difference
Between what and what?
between before, how you enjoyed life before and after enlightenment?
Well, before enlightenment, I just loved to play. I was a party animal. You know, when I left school, I was so glad to be out of school. I had a party, and I never stopped. After enlightenment, I became silent inside and blissed out. But then I saw how so many people were suffering because they weren't free, how they were suffering because they were entertaining victim orientation, how they were resisting life and suffering. And I decided to help people get free, which meant coming back out here again. I'd spent 6 months sitting inside, just staring into space, blissed out to the max. But I decided to come out here again and start teaching people how to be free, because I love human beings, and I love them all, the good, the bad and the ugly. Because my heart is wide open and I can't help but love everybody. And because I love everybody, I can't see them suffering and do nothing about it.
Can you give me a little bit of more clarity on what makes a girl a woman and a boy a man, or the difference between a boy and a man, or a girl and a woman?
Basically, responsibility. It has nothing to do with pubic hair. A lot of people think that when you get to the age of 18 or 21, you're a man or you're a woman. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Men take care, they take responsibility for themselves, and they take care of everybody. Men who aren't men who are still little boys, just take care of themselves. It's simple. It's not complex. And the same goes for women.
Is it accurate to say you can have higher consciousness and not heart?
You can. I had higher consciousness and I didn't have heart, and that's what broke my heart. When I actually got to experience some unconditional love, I realised that I'd wasted 33 years of my life pursuing success in the material world, when really the only thing that is valuable on this plane is unconditional love. And I didn't have any, because I was a war machine as a businessman. And so I had to undo the war machine. I had to reverse engineer the war machine, which in my case meant walking into my companies, handing all my companies to my staff, including the furniture in 14 offices, and walking out broke, basically.
What about the Rolls Royce?
I gave that up too. Yeah, no, I gave the Rolls Royce up. I gave everything up. I came out pretty broke because I realised that for me to undo the war machine, I could no longer be in charge of people, because when I was in charge of people, I'd create an army. And there's nothing that could stop me. When I was 21, I read a book called The Art of War by a guy called Sun Tzu, which was a general. And I read that book at least 20 times, at least. And I operated my businesses like that. And I built this tremendously strong war machine inside myself that was actually in the way of the heart. It was in the way of being open. It was in the way of finding unconditional love. So I had to undo it. So I did.
Like sometimes I'm losing the belief, or how you can say, like I think, oh, I never get it. I never achieve.
That guarantees you'll fail. That's not a good thing. That guarantees failure. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you won't. It's really simple. You're shooting yourself in the foot with your negative attitude about yourself. You know, the only thing that sinks a human being is negativity, because we're naturally buoyant. We don't have to have a positive attitude, we just can't afford to have a negative one.